Hi guys, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the CRM, the Customer Relationship Management tool that we just released. Brian's going to be following up with a nicer, slicker video, but I wanted to get a down and dirty one for you for the people that are chomping at the bit to get going. So right now I'm under scheduling, daily overview, and I can click on this little icon right here. That takes us to the CRM. So in this particular case, I am looking at an event, and you can look up or use the CRM in two different ways. You can look at a customer, or you can look at a particular order. Now, order questions are going to be specific to that order, like were the contracts signed and returned, where the customer questions are going to be global, and it'll be following them from the first time they answer through every order that they make after that. So if you want to know when your prospect, for example, has carnivals, let's say you're contacting a school or a church, you could, on their customer form, ask a question like, when are your events? And that way you have it from then on in a database that travels with them. Every time they order an event, you have something to look at. In the case of events, it's just a one-time. So the next time they order, they're going to be asked again, what kind of event is this? Was the contract filled out? So it's specific to that particular event. Now within those two categories, and right now we're on the event category, you have two choices. You can ask questions and set up custom database fields in two different ways. You can ask a question where they get a drop-down answer or a text box. Those are probably familiar to you. Those are set up in order options, and we'll look at those in just a second. Or you can set up a checklist where everything is simply a checkbox. So if you have a lot of things that you do from a management operations perspective, you might want to go with some checkboxes because they're a little bit faster. But if you want unlimited abilities to just type whatever you want, you might want to go with the order options approach. Or if you want drop downs, go with the order options approach. I would imagine that most of you, from an operations perspective, will be setting up most of these things on the event level, and only maybe one or two things in the customer level, but it totally depends on your business and how you like to track information. So I'm going to quickly show you how to set up these order options first, and then we're going to discuss how to set up the list options. All right, so for the order options, I'm going to go to Admin, Order Config, Order Options, and then you can see what type of event this is. So I've already set one up here. It says, what type of event is this? The name is just a title that's going to be used for reports later, so it should still make sense. It's often the same thing as the question, just shorter. What type of event is this is the question. This can be worded any way you want. You can ask them anything. And remember, these are internal, not external. This isn't going to your customer. This is just for internal tracking. Then you put all of your possible answers in the options list. And this is what makes up that drop down. Sorry about the dogs. And now this is the important part. Under group, we're going to choose CRM event in this case. Now, if we wanted to make this follow the customer, then obviously you pick CRM customer. But for this, we're just doing CRM event. Ignore everything else on that list and click Save. So let's start and make a new one. Let's say that we want to, let's say ask the birthday child's name, and we're going to ask this on every order that comes in. So we would do Add New, and we'll say child name. What's the B-Day child's name. All right. Then we're going to just leave this blank because we want to have our team have an open text box. So all I have to do is change this group into CRM event because we want to ask this on every event ordered. And we click submit. And now when we go back and look at an event, daily overview, now it says, what's the birthday child's name? And I can say it's Joe. And for this event, it will continue to say Joe every time I come back to it. Now, if we want to do these checklists here, those are done in a slightly different area. It's the same concept, except it's being set up somewhere else. So for a checklist, you go to Admin, Order Config, and Reminders. And in here, you'll say, you make a name, just like before, make another content, that's the part that actually says, so we'll say confirmed order here. And display on checkout, you just leave those on yes, don't worry about them. What matters is that you're choosing which type of checklist. Now, this hasn't been labeled differently yet. So this is customer checklist, means it's following the customer, but we're wanting to do order checklists, which is what this was originally made for. So I'm just going to select checklist. Remember, an event checklist is just labeled checklist. And if you want it to follow the customer only, then we go to customer. So checklist, we click save. And now when we go back to this daily overview, you're going to see that it now says confirmed order. And so I just updated that one, and it's now a checkbox. So you can use checkboxes or you can use these forms. It's whatever you prefer. And the tasks, I believe, Brian already covered in a previous video. So the last thing to do is to set up your email. Now, the email right now is going to be looking at your company email. So you need to be using the email that's under, company email right here. So if my Gmail is info@battlefieldnm.com, then great, it's going to work. If it isn't, then it won't work. So they do need to match right now. We are about to come out with an update where you can set a different email. So if you use two different emails, that'll work as well. Once you have that set up, then you go into your general config and Google Calendar settings. And I'm going to disconnect it in case you haven't already done so. So you disconnect it, then you reconnect it with this larger button that says Set up Google Calendar and Gmail integration. And once you've done that, now I've already done it, so it's giving me a security warning. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what it takes to disconnect it. So I'm going to say remove. Okay. And then I go back. Click this button right here. Okay. Now when we go for it, it'll allow access to all of our email, Gmail, and we'll get that in there. And now all the emails will show up when I'm looking at that particular customer, because it pulls up the last 20 emails that you've either sent or received from that customer. And it also connects with your Google Calendar at the same time. So hope that gets you guys started. I'm sure that we'll have more questions. We're also going to be adding more functionality, but just wanted to give you a little something to get going, since I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you first start. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon.